Hello, my name is Dan O'Connell, and I will be your general psychology instructor for the semester. I'm really excited to be here to be sharing all of my knowledge and information about psychology. I hope that you find it as exciting and interesting as I do, but that'll be up for you all to decide. And to start, I'm going to share my screen and tell you a little about myself. And then the rest of today, I'll talk about the syllabus and talk about some actual content. We'll get into basics of the study of psychology. So this will be to start. This is a brief background on me. This may or may not be interesting. It definitely won't be tested, so feel free to tune out or tune in. This is some background about my education. So I went to St. Louis University and got my bachelor's in science in psychology. I also minored in biology and Spanish. I initially started out thinking that I wanted to be a psychiatrist. So psychiatrists go to med school. I halfway through my journey decided that wasn't for me, so I switched to clinical psychology, which I am now in a graduate program for. But as I then pursued that psychology degree, after that, I took a gap year to improve my fluency in Spanish and did this thing called a Fulbright, which is the government can pay, can sponsor you to go to a different country. And I was really looking to improve my Spanish fluency, to become more conversational and learn about some psychology stuff if I could. And I got some exposure to psychology there. So I was in Colombia and specifically in Tunja and Boyacá. This is also to point out that I do speak Spanish. So if that's your preferred language, when we're in contact, if you're emailing or calling me, feel free to do that in Spanish. Currently, I am a doctoral student at the University of Houston. I say this because it's important context, but also because I'm still a student. So, not that I know all of the things that's going on in your life. I don't know what work you're balancing, what family responsibilities you might be juggling, but I do understand that being a student can be busy and hectic, and you have a million things going on, especially on syllabus day when you receive the syllabus and there's a million projects and you're in multiple classes and you're like, how am I gonna do this? I have been in several tens, if not 100 classes by now, and I always get the work done, uh, taking it little by little, piece by piece. You can do it, but it takes a good amount of work, but also just taking a deep breath that you have so many months to get all of this work done. But just recognize that I am a student, so I understand if things come up, things like that. I do also have my master's already in clinical psychology, and I'm kind of in the later half of the PhD program. I do multiple things as well, as I'm sure many of you do as well. So, of course, I'm a professor here with you. My official title is adjunct professor. Um, so I'm teaching the class, and then I'm still a graduate student. So as a graduate student in clinical psychology, I'm doing research, I'm mentoring. So I work with uh, undergraduate students. I uh, mentor students and help them try to get into graduate school. I also do clinical work, so I do therapy. I receive supervision, but I get to actually do therapy and work with families. And then I'm also still doing classes, just like you all. And then I also am really passionate about advocacy and volunteering, and so I do some work with the National Kidney Foundation, the American Psychological Association, and I volunteer doing grief support groups um, in Houston. And I'm also a person like you all. So I grew up in Chicago. This is the river that flows through Chicago that gets dyed green for St. Patrick's Day. I also have two cats, Carl and Sizzle. They may make appearances from time to time on videos. I'm also a runner. That's my main hobby. And I so I run marathons. This was me after the Chicago Marathon. And I also look for any excuse to travel. This is a picture of me in Ecuador. This past summer, I was doing a clinical training opportunity there to learn kind of cultural and language practices for psychology and therapy in Quito. So that's a little background about me. We have so much information to cover, so I'm going to jump into the syllabus. So this is our document that you should download, save, keep referencing, keep coming back to. It has so much information that is super helpful about keeping on track, all things like that. This is a living document, so it is subject to change. Maybe there will be a storm or something might come up. It is not impossible to change, but I'll do my best to give you some notice about that, and it should kind of go in your favor. This is an asynchronous class, so this means we'll never meet at the same time. We won't meet face to face, but we'll have kind of weekly activities that'll keep us on the same page, keep us working at a regular pace. There is plenty of information. Look through it in more detail if you want, but I'll just go through some highlights. So there are 4 main objectives for the course. Some of the key ones are probably these two, right? Understanding basic psychological principles and the roles of psychologists today, and gain a broad understanding of the vast field that is psychology and apply it to your own interests and career aspirations. Some of you might be here and thinking, oh, maybe this will be an easy class, just get it done. I hope that's true, and I hope it's interesting at the same time. Maybe some of you are taking this class because you are really interested in psychology and you've seen it in the media, on TikTok, in a movie or something, and you think, oh, maybe I want to be a psychologist or just kind of learn about it. Some of you might also not have a strong interest in psychology, and part of my goal would be to say there's psychology everywhere. And so if you want to be a nurse or a teacher, there are a lot of ways that you can apply this personally and to potential careers. So hopefully you kind of come away with that information, but we'll see. And again, just to kind of understand what even is psychology. This information is to highlight, and you might see this in other syllabi if you're taking other classes or you've taken them before. Just know that this may or may not take around 9 hours per week of work. I think that's kind of a blanket. For some people, it might take longer. For some people, it might take less. Depending on the week, it's certainly going to vary. But generally speaking, maybe you'll spend 7 to 9 hours per week on this class. That'll include readings, watching these videos, and doing some of the assignments. Again, before I get into all those assignments, remember that you have weeks and months to work on these things, so don't panic. If if you do panic, also recognize that is normal, and I myself come across that when I'm starting new classes because it feels impossible to get all this work done in one semester. But you can do it. So just recognize this is maybe kind of a goal. If you're spending way more than 9 hours, maybe kind of scale it back. If you're not spending 9 hours, maybe try and study a little more. But it's not a hard and fast rule. This is my information. This is my personal number, so feel free to not blow it up. But if you do have a concern, definitely call, reach out before there are bigger issues or something, or you're really far behind. This is my email, and definitely reach out there. My goal, as it says later on, is to respond within 24 hours, and I'm pretty good at that. Another just small thing to highlight is that, like I mentioned, I have my master's in clinical psychology. I also have my LPA, which means that I'm a licensed psychological associate. And I just want to kind of throw in some of those nuggets because I think things like this can be confusing. It might feel really complicated as you are kind of beginning a career in higher level education, that there's all the acronyms and just information seems so confusing. I myself was I am a first generation college student. And so these things have been confusing for me, and I understand for other people they can be confusing. So I want to throw in these nuggets about mentorship. If you want to meet about the class content, definitely reach out. But if you also want to meet, you're confused about your future aspirations, or you're confused about something else going on in life, definitely reach out. But going back, this is an LPA, so I'm not a licensed psychologist because I'm still a doctoral student. Once I get my PhD, I can become a licensed psychologist, but for now, I'm a licensed psychological associate because I'm still receiving supervision. Please reach out, ask questions, especially before things get too late. I'm really happy to chat about anything. Next on the agenda is this textbook. So I'm going to jump over to the textbook that you might be encouraged to bookmark. It is a really helpful guide, and it should make things a lot easier to follow along if you're kind of keeping up with the readings. It's a nice free resource, so you don't have to purchase anything. It's just a link that's saved on the web, and it has all the information that we're going to cover. So for example, today we will end up covering chapter 1 and chapter 2. You'll go section by section, and you can see, I think it's a really nice resource because it has the text. It also has practice questions. So when you're going through the readings, you can kind of test yourself, see if you're grasping the content. And unlike the quizzes that we'll have, these don't have any points or anything associated. I can't even see that you've responded to these questions. So it's just good practice. So you can think, oh, what is the answer here? Check it, and it'll give you an answer. Let's see, if you get it wrong, it'll also explain why, and then you can try it again. There are many other things that are really cool about this textbook. It has really good information, so I'll keep referencing that. Back to the syllabus. So this is the textbook. You can type that link out, click it, it'll take you right there. Additional things to note. So this is totally online, so you're going to be on Canvas a lot of the time. if you are watching this video, you almost certainly have access to Canvas. Check it regularly. We'll be doing all of our assignments there. This is where I'll post the videos. It'll be a key thing for you to check regularly. If you have issues, reach out to the help desk. Another important thing to note is we will have 2 exams, and those exams will be conducted with Respondus, a lockdown browser, and a webcam monitoring system. So this is to prevent cheating and is really important for course integrity. A key here, just we'll get there later, but it might be helpful to check these things early before you get to the test, and just to prevent any issues from coming up kind of the day that you're prepared to take it. Don't worry too much about it yet, but do maybe play around and get on the browser. Here is a general overview of points for the class. So I'll go into a bunch more detail about the assignments, and there will be information as we kind of approach them during the upcoming weeks. But this is kind of just a super broad overview. So you'll have 2 exams. These will be 100 questions, 100 points each, meaning there'll be 200 points total. And for this class, there will be a total of 1,000 points that you can earn, plus an additional 50 that you can earn from extra credit. And so keep up with this. This is where all of the points go. You can also think about it as a percentage. So 2 exams, a midterm and a final, each 100 points. 3 projects, each 100 points. Those will be disproving a psychology myth, breaking or starting a habit using psychology, and designing a study guide material content for yourself and for others to study. These weekly discussions will be basically your attendance. It's kind of to reflect on the content that you've learned about in a given week. You will make a post one week, and the next week you'll respond to someone's post. These will be 15 points each for the post and for the response, making it a total of 30 points for each kind of weekly discussion, and you'll have 10 of them, so that equates to 300 points here. But note, I understand that things happen. So like I mentioned, I am a student, and I understand that things are going to come up. There are going to be things that come up that are unexpected, or maybe you're feeling really overwhelmed. You kind of overbooked yourself one week, or you have a bunch of projects due or something. So first off, as my advisor and mentor has always said, don't kill your grandma. Don't just make up an excuse. You don't have to just tell me and make something up that your grandma died to try and get out of an assignment. If that does happen, I'm very sorry. But, and certainly let me know. That is a valid excuse. But you don't have to create an excuse. You can just be honest and say that kind of the work got away from you. And just communicate, over communicate. If you think that you're going to be behind, let me know and we can work something out. But I also understand that those things are going to come up. And so I've kind of built that in for a couple scenarios. And so for 2 of these, meaning a whole week of a post and a response, you can skip or drop them. So that means if you get really busy and you forget to do it, that's okay. You'll get the full points 2 times. If you want to do all of them and see if you can get a better grade on one, then we'll drop 2 of your lowest ones. So keep that in mind. 2 of these will be dropped, you'll get the full points. That's the same case for these quizzes. And maybe you're on vacation, maybe you just want to skip something. That's cool, that's great. Do it. And you'll get those points because we are human. This content is important and I want you to take it seriously, but it's not necessarily the most important thing. And so I don't want it to get in the way either. You'll have these weekly quizzes. They will be worth 20 points each. There will be 10 questions. Each question is worth 2 points. You can also gain extra credit by doing this additional assignment, which would be tracking your day through a psychology lens. And I'll get more into these assignments, but that's kind of the broad overview you can kind of come back to if you're checking in on your grade. These are the point breakdowns. This should be standard across the university for percentage, but I also like to break it down by points. So you can think about for each thing that you're doing, how many points and how it's going to impact your total percentage grade. Now this is probably what I find to be the most important, most helpful when I have started any class. This is the sheet that I print out and check things off as I go along. And you can have your own system, great. But yeah, what I have always found helpful is to print this out, check it off for every single week. So this is just an overview, and I don't want to spend too much time on it because I do want to get to the actual content for today. But take a look at this, and I'll just go through it kind of quick and kind of describe a couple weeks as an example. So for this first week, you will have, we are going to discuss psychological foundations and research. So readings that would be helpful are chapters 1 and 2. There's not a way that I can necessarily check if you've done it or that it's necessarily even useful to you. Some people might prefer to read all the chapters straight out and then watch these videos, confirm that they internalize the information and highlight certain things that I'm highlighting, what I think is most important. Some people might watch the videos and then I say something and they're really confused because either I did a bad job or just the way that I said it didn't make sense to you. So maybe you go back to the textbook and think about, kind of look at the examples that they're giving, reread it, and see if they explain it in a different way. Then you will do your first post, your discussion post. So there are discussion boards on Canvas. It should be pretty intuitive, and you will follow the first assignment, which I can highlight and show later on. But just go on there, follow the directions, and write a post and follow the description, which is to find psychology in the world, right? It's all around us. It's on billboards, it's in the news, it's on social media. It is everywhere. So think of an example of where that has come up, post it, and then finally take quiz 1, which covers chapters 1 and 2. Next week, we will cover personality. And so that corresponds to chapter 12. You will respond to discussion 1. So you will find a peer that has written about psychology in the world. You will respond to their post, and there are directions. It's pretty clear in the assignment what you'll be responding with and how. And so that completes the first sequence of the discussion post. You will also make a new post by for this assignment, it is to take a personality quiz, reflect on it based on stuff that you've learned in the class, make a post on it, and then you'll use that the following week to respond to someone else. So that'll be how the discussion posts go. Make a post, and then the following week respond to someone else. Again, I get that peer-to-peer interaction, and it serves as that attendance. These should be pretty easy, get you some points, but also help you learn the information. You'll also be doing these weekly quizzes, so you'll take quiz 2. And there's the separate thing that I'll go into. This is important. At the end, kind of the final project that I briefly mentioned is to pick is to create a study guide, is to create sort of a study guide content material for a certain subject. So we have a bunch of subjects in psychology. I'll go over these in kind of this first lecture, but maybe one would be about personality, or one is about psychological foundations. And every student in the course needs to pick one. And so then we'll compile it. It'll be a large study guide for every other student to use and for you to use to prepare for the final exam. So it should be useful and also fun and creative. And I'll go into more about the assignment, especially as we get closer. The key here is that for this week, you need to pick a topic, and I'll show you the list. So you'll need to do this by the following Friday, or otherwise I'll just assign you one and you might not get something that you prefer. So I'll go more into that. Do email or let me know if you have questions or concerns. I'll try to clarify things. It's sort of tricky to do something like this in an asynchronous way. And these things will just follow week by week. Lifespan development, abnormal psychology, which is about mental disorders, also called psychopathology, and treatments. So things like psychoanalysis, cognitive behavioral therapy. You'll diagnose a character. Week 5 will be chill. After we get through all of this, it might feel like a lot. So we'll just take a pause and I'll kind of run a sort of therapy session that is relaxation techniques. That is, you can kind of observe and learn by observation, but also it's just kind of chill. And that's when your first project will be due. And I'll still go more into detail about that lower. Biological foundations, you'll draw a neuron, talk about consciousness, you'll do a dream journal. October 12th, this will be the week that you have to complete your midterm. So again, you'll want to have the lockdown browser and the recording ability, get a private space, a quiet area, make sure there's no one else around you, or it will alert the system that it might look like you're cheating. And you'll have the whole week to complete that. You'll find a time and you'll submit it by the following week. Week 9 is about learning. Week 10, social psychology. Week 11, sensation and perception. Week 12, memory and intelligence. Emotion and motivation. We'll have a break for Thanksgiving. This is when things are already kind of wrapping up. You'll submit this study guide project that I mentioned. You also have this breaking or starting a habit project during the week of November 2nd. And then this week is kind of a shortened week because finals will be during this kind of first week of December, first to second week. And so that'll be due the second week of December. This week you need to submit the study guide the week of November 23rd, submit the study guide by November 29th so that I can compile all of the study guide materials and put them together for the class to use. The week of November 30th, you have some time. You'll want to study, and then this is when the extra credit assignment will be due, and then you'll have the final exam. Again, this is tentative, so if I think something needs to change, I'll work on that. This is where it gets a little more clear about what these assignments look like. So, assignments will include these weekly discussions, and as I've said, you'll post your initial response by a Sunday at 11:59 p.m. You'll then reply to at least one classmate by the following Sunday. Just follow each assignment, but generally speaking, these are 100 to 150 word responses that are accompanied by maybe you'll have to do a drawing, take a photo, upload a link, or do some sort of activity. Each quiz will have 10 questions. Each will be worth 2 points, and you should make sure to complete those by Sunday as well. Make sure to do your best not to just copy and paste something from ChatGPT. As a graduate student, I think that AI can be useful. There's plenty of purposes for it, and I don't want to say never use AI. That's not super realistic. It certainly seems like the future is going towards this model, and you don't really want to get left behind by not even learning ways to use AI and to make it helpful. But it's also not good for your education if you just say, if you copy and paste my prompt into ChatGPT and then have it, you just copy and paste its response for you. You didn't do the learning. So try and do yourself a favor and use AI in an intelligent but kind of useful but moderate way. I hope that makes sense. Happy to clarify anything about that. It can be helpful to set these calendar reminders because you might forget if you don't set something up like that. Then projects. You'll have these 3 projects that it'll be kind of an application of things that you've learned in a broader sense. You'll follow those. Each assignment will have more information, and I'll talk about them more in detail as they're coming up. Don't wait until the last minute. I'm happy to provide more information in like one-on-one, whatever that might look like. This extra credit assignment is something that you'll kind of have to wait until later in the semester to do because you're still learning the information now. But basically, you'll take one day and literally in one day, write down 20 activities that you do and how they relate to psychological theories or concepts that we've talked about. And then you'll have these two exams. You'll need to study. They're closed book, so no book, no notes, no AI, and they will be timed. They will also have those lockdown browsers, so you'll just need to get those set up. Late work. Each day an assignment is late, 5% is taken off the total grade. For example, if you submit an assignment 2 days late, the maximum you could receive is a 90. If you earned an 85 in the assignment, you would be docked 10% and receive a 75. You can also talk to me, and there can be exceptions to that. These are very basic things. We have more lockdown browser, attendance, just keep up with these things, integrity, Title IX, I am a mandated reporter, so if you do reach out to me, I I'll make this statement. So this is a psychology class. As we learn about disorders or sometimes cruel things that have happened to people, that can maybe feel personal, or it could trigger something in you that um, leads to panic or leads to some sort of physical symptom or discomfort or something. So do reach out to me if you feel like you need to talk about something like that. But I am a mandated reporter, which means that in certain circumstances, mostly around safety, I might have to report that to the university or to to some other party, depending on what is reported. Those would be extenuating circumstances. We would kind of talk about it, but do know that I am an officially mandated reporter. So if you talk about things like wanting to harm yourself or harm someone else, or if there is some Title IX related thing that could be um, any kind of gender-based action or any threats to your safety in that way, uh, I would also elevate those concerns. So that is the syllabus, and I'll just jump over to the Canvas page while I'm at it to highlight a couple things, and you can kind of see my view of Canvas that will be helpful just to kind of give you an overview, but I'll be releasing these things week by week. This is what week 1 looks like. So you will today watch the video, complete quiz 1, and write your response to discussion 1. So you'll do this assignment, write your initial response, do quiz 1, and that's pretty much it for week 1. Week 2, you'll come in, you will complete quiz 2, you'll write your response to this discussion 1, and then you'll also respond, you'll go back and respond to someone else for week 1's post. The only additional kind of weird thing is that you'll go into the study guide, you will go to sign up, and you'll put your name or what topic you want to do. So this is, I'll just highlight the assignment. So to prepare for the final, you will design any sort of media that will help you and your classmates study. So this is a graphic, a drawing, a video, kind of anything that is your strength. If you can draw or do something digital or create a video, anything you think would be helpful for that given topic that is sort of enjoyable for you to create. This will be graded based on accuracy, organization, and attention to detail, and I'll put all of these in one slideshow for everyone else to study with. You can then study with these and use anything that you think would be helpful, whether it's graphics, bullet points, whatever you think. And then for this upcoming week, when this opens, you will put in your name next to a given topic. So some of these things you might have heard of, some of them you might not have, but each of these will need to be filled by one student. And so pick your favorite, whatever sounds the most interesting. And then by the end of the semester, you will develop a study guide, graphic, or video, or something related to that topic. So that's coming up in 2 weeks. And other than that, that is sort of the core content for the syllabus. I'm going to pause this video, maybe take a break, get water, get a snack, And then I'm going to upload a second video for uh, the week one content. You can also keep referring back to this video if you are confused later on. So having this one as a separate video might be nice. But yeah, do reach out with any questions or concerns, and then hang tight. Go ahead and click on that second video to learn the week one content.